At the center of the Yom Kippur service is an act we call vidui, which I'll translate in a moment. It essentially consists of two parts, both familiar to anyone who's in synagogue regularly on the High Holy Days. The first is the Ashamnu, a paragraph that presents in alphabetical order a list of sins, beginning with Ashamnu, we have sinned, and a second, even longer list of sins, and each line begins with the words al chet, concerning the sin that, and then the sin is described. Now, we usually describe or translate this act of vidui as being confession. I'm going to suggest to you a different translation, and let me explain why. Confession is an act of communicating information to someone else that that other person may not have. Think of someone confessing a crime or confessing to a crime. But I think that in the case of vidui, we are performing this act in God's presence. And as we say several times in the liturgy, God already knows everything that we have done. Nothing here is news for God. And even when we have sinned against others, very often that person or many people know that we have sinned. It is we who haven't fully faced the fact that we have wronged someone else. Now, usually when we think about this act of vidui, we think of it as taking blame, feeling the guilt. It's a weight that we put upon ourselves. We have sinned. We have done many things wrong. But I want to suggest to you that there is also a liberating aspect of vidui. And that is, very often before we've acknowledged our sins, we know that they're there. And we experience them in a sort of terrifying, shapeless presence. And we can't rid ourselves of it entirely. When we perform vidui, we have taken out that sin and put it in a box. It's got a name, it's got a shape, and so we have separated itself from ourselves and from our identity. We are not our sins. We are good people who sometimes sin, who sometimes fail. And so on this Yom Kippur, I invite you to engage in the act of vidui as an act of liberation, of taking those wrongdoings and sins out and naming them, knowing that we are something greater than our sins, but at the same time, through naming them, making it possible for us to repair ourselves and to repair our relationships with God and the world.